Episode 80 of Dragon Ball Super stars Gohan as he fights Lavender, the second fighter from Universe 10, in the preliminaries, basically, of the Universe Survival Arc, or Tournament of Power. The episode is titled Awaken, Dormant, Fighting Spirit Son Gohan's Battle, and the Japanese title, Nemutta Tōshi o Yobisamase Son Gohan no Tatakai. I'm going to be honest here, and I think I liked the previous episode, episode 79, a little bit better. I think the action was slightly better, and I liked how it spanned most of the full episode, whereas this fight took up a large portion of the episode, but not the whole thing. It seemed almost like Gohan's fight with Lavender was a preliminary to setting up the tournament more, and basically the revelation that the universes that lose will be destroyed, and that Universe 7 and 9, like I had predicted earlier, not in a video though, that they are basically the runts of the 12 universe, or the quote-unquote weakest. But I'm going to get into that a little bit more in detail. First, I want to talk about the fight. For sure, there is no absence of badass from Gohan in this. He uses his abilities in a very unique way, and very clever and very smart, showing how smart Gohan really is. Despite his obvious limitations, though I would have to say that is also his fault that he got blinded in the first place, or poisoned, by Lavender's poison punching, or whatever you want to call it. Because the second he steps into the ring, Goku says, "We can't sense their energy, don't hold back." And what does Gohan do? He holds back. Of course, with all Dragon Ball fights, all of everybody has to hold back at the beginning to add a little bit more tension, I guess. But Gohan basically should have gone Super Saiyan from the get-go, and I think if he did, chances are of him getting poisoned would have been significantly reduced. He probably still would have been. He would have done a much better job against Lavender and their fight in general. Now about Lavender, he's interesting. I think I like Basil better just because of his fighting technique, I suppose, whereas Lavender relies on his poison and sketchy tactics, you know. Personality-wise, he's pretty cool. He is similar to the Universe 9 Supreme Kai, sort of, in terms of how they kind of carry themselves. They're like maniacally laughing, but nonetheless, the poison is very interesting and a great way for Gohan, at least to show off what Gohan can do with his power and how smart he is. So I think that in general, it's a good matchup. I think that was a good pairing for a fight for sure, because who knows if Majin Buu would have been able to get poisoned. That's a whole another topic. But it was awesome at first before Gohan went Super Saiyan, when he was first poisoned, he was getting the shit kicked out of him, and then he learned to use his other senses. Like I said in the last episode review, they would have to basically use their sight, their ears, and their other senses other than sensing ki, because they can't sense their ki. If they are using ki, they're using some sort of energy, which makes them able to fly around and do blasts and stuff. But regardless, they can't sense it, so Gohan has to use his ears, because he's blinded, to hear Lavender running around on the tournament floor. So at this point, he's basically starting to become Daredevil, and it was so freaking awesome. When Lavender's about to kick him right down on the head, and Gohan freaking blocks that shit, that was so freaking cool. And then lays a bunch of hits on him, but then of course Lavender realizes what Gohan's doing, so he starts flying so Gohan can't feel his footsteps. And I love that back and forth action. It takes me back to the old Dragon Ball tournament days, where each character brings out their techniques above the other and basically one-up each other in their fight. And that's basically what this is. Lavender poisons Gohan. Gohan uses his ears to figure out where Lavender is, to hit him a bunch of times. Lavender starts flying, and then Gohan has to go Super Saiyan and basically uses his energy to reflect off of stuff to sense where things are, and that's how he's able to tell where Lavender is. Now this was so freaking cool, and now he's full on radar mode Daredevil here, and it was so awesome seeing him lay the beat down on Lavender. So Gohan was definitely a complete badass in this fight. And then, of course, we get the revelation that the Super Saiyan transformation is accelerating the poison, which I don't have a problem with. I think that was a cool idea, and also bring another obstacle to Gohan to have to overcome, which he doesn't really overcome it per se, but he definitely pushes past it when Lavender and Gohan are finally flying up in the sky, and they like have that little badass beam clash of theirs, which Lavender does win, but it shows how much Gohan is like pushing himself, because to be honest, he probably should have been like done at that point, because the poison had almost entirely consumed his entire self. But that was a badass beam clash. And then the finale to the fight, when Gohan like gets him in a full Nelson and freaking flies down to the tournament floor and just crashes Lavender's face in the tournament floor. That was so freaking cool. And I love how that fight ended like that. Now, I'm sure a lot of other people had a big problem with this part, where how they basically judged the fight as a tie, because it wasn't a tie. They were both down, laying on the ground. Lavender stayed laying down. Gohan stood up. Boom, winner. Even if it was only a second, it doesn't matter how long he was standing. He's the one that got up and stood up first, so therefore he wins. Now, if Lavender got up too, then it would have been the first one to fall over who loses. But for some reason, they decided to call it a tie, I guess. It's whatever. It didn't bother me that much, but I thought it was kind of stupid. So, of course, one of the biggest things in this episode was the revelation of the destruction of the universes who lose in the tournament, basically to all the other gods, because of course Beerus and Goku knew, and of course that was a big shock to everybody. But then the other revelation on top of that was kind of weird, which I was half expecting, because I kind of predicted it, that Universe 7 is kind of weaker than most of the other universes. But the thing about it is that they worded it really weird. The Daishinkan said the average level of the universe. Now, I watched this on Crunchyroll, so I don't know if it was the subtitles or what, but he said average level, which to me, I'm like, okay, so why does that make this team weaker than the other teams? Like, if their whole universe, their average level is high, why does that equate to that team in the tournament? Like, say Universe 1 is like the highest, for example. I'm not saying it is, but I'm saying, for example, why does that automatically make their team for the tournament stronger than everybody else? Because to me, the way I took it was Zeno taking every single mortal in that universe and averaging their power, which came out to higher than Universe 7's. But as we've seen, Universe 7 is full of a lot of weak species in there. So you got Earth, which has all of these planet and solar system busting dudes on it. And then all the rest of the universe has people who can't even destroy a building, you know, like human level characters. So you got trillions of human level and 10 or 15 really, really strong guys. So that makes sense that the average level of Universe 7 is low, but this team is not necessarily low. Or that's exactly what they could be saying, is that the team is low compared to the other universes. But if that's the case, then it's pretty much a given that Universe 7 is going to beat Universe 9, because they're at like a 3-point something and Universe 9 is at like a 1-point something. So given the numbers, Universe 7 should beat Universe 9 fairly easily. And say, for example, Universe 5 is at a 6 average, they should be able to beat Universe 7 pretty easily. So it doesn't entirely make a lot of sense to me, but I think there's a couple other ways that it could be translated. Like they could, like I've heard one theory saying that it's basically like the goodness, the average goodness. In the subtitles that I watched, he said average level. So it's really unclear, and I really hope they go into more detail and maybe clarify some of this in the future. But give me your thoughts in the comments below, because it's really strange to me and doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But overall, I really enjoyed the episode. I did enjoy the previous episode a little better. I thought the fight was a little bit better paced. I think this fight would have been a little bit better if it was the whole episode. I think the pacing is really good if the fight is most of one episode length. But stay tuned for my episode 81 review coming out hopefully early next week, as well as a spoiler discussion of the Netflix series The OA. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.